my name is Daniel. In today's video, I'm going to go about putting this thing back together. I've taken out the exhaust and intake manifold, which I've already covered the installation of that in another video, and I need to reinstall the carburetor, which I just did a rebuild on, and then hook up all the rest of the fuel lines, the power steering pump, coolant lines, electrical, things like that. So, all right, let's get started. So, what do I plan to do today? What I want to do in this video is reinstall the carburetor, which I just did a rebuild on from another video. Do a connection of all the other support equipment. I've got all these fuel lines, I've got coolant hoses, I've got vacuum lines. So I'm just going to go through the process reinstalling all of that. I also have a bracket that should go right here, or well, not should, will go right here, and I've got my fuel pump. I got that tie wrapped off to this, this cross member. These cross members you see here. I got it on the other side, and then that's pretty much all I want to cover. So one thing I will be doing on the carburetor is there are these spacer plates, because I've looked at the gaskets on these. These are in pretty decent shape, but what I will do because I do want to get a good seal on these, and these are what was originally. I think it goes like that. This one goes here, and then this one goes like that, maybe? Yeah, this one goes like that, and then the carburetor sits on top of that. So what I need to do is I'm actually going to put a gasket maker in there just to make sure I get a good seal on here, because I have the gaskets for this, but I'm going to be repurposing the previous gaskets because none of them are torn or anything. They're just compressed. So I want to make sure I don't get a leak in them. So I'm going to put some gasket maker on these guys, when I start installing them. So what I'm doing here is, because these are just studs that go into this, what I'm doing is I'm taking two nuts and putting the first nut down, taking the second nut, basically making it, in essence, a lock nut, tightening the second one up onto the first one, like this, and then what it does is it gives me this nut isn't going to move, and it now kind of acts like a bolt, and it allows me to be able to drop my screwdriver, my wrench all the way down there. But it allows me to get a better bite onto that, because I can only turn so much with my fingers on that. But I can turn that down a little bit further. You got to be careful though, at least with this design, is that this is a threaded all the way through. So if you push too much on that, it'll actually start pushing back up and give you a little air gap on there. So it's just kind of need to get it snug, and that's about it. Alright, so now that the carb's in, I am going to start hooking up all the rest of the stuff. And as I've started looking at these different lines, I wrote myself very cryptic messages, which made sense at the time, but make a little bit less sense now. So this one says distro vac, which I know because it's connected to the distributor, and it is the vacuum advance for it. So believe that will go right here. As far as I can tell, it looks like that maps to there. But anyway, I'm just going to get started with trying to connect all this from memory and from what my very cryptic messages I've given myself. The best part about this as well is that because this is an aftermarket carburetor they've put in, some of the lines don't get connected, so that enhances the fun of putting this back together, because some of these were not connected because they don't need that for all the associated hardware with the factory one. One little thing that might save you guys a couple pennies is this is the hose that goes from basically the housing for the thermostat over to the intake, and it's just a coolant line, and that's all it really it serves its purpose, is just transfer that coolant between the intake and the housing here. However, this piece here runs about $25, $23 to $25, depending on what box store you're at, and this one's pretty much shot, so I need to get a new one. But I started looking at 25 bucks. I was like, that is just, that's insanely expensive. And, you get it from like places like, online places like Rock Auto or something like that. It'll run you $5 and $3 in shipping. So it's still $8. So I was able to find figure out what this was, you know, you can go online. I was in the store, I just went online on my phone, able to figure out what hose this was, and just, you know, it's a 3/4 inch, you know, coolant hose. I asked them, and almost all the box stores have, you know, any of the automotive stores have, you know, pre-cut, you know, just cut the length hose. So I got this 3/4 inch, and if you have room to do it, great. Then just buy your hose. This ran me all of about $2.50 for this cut the length hose, and it's the exact same, you know, material as this. It's coolant hose, and it'll save you, you know, some pennies. So I just put a hose clamp on either side. I have room inside the engine compartment to make the bends. I don't have to have, you know, something like this would be a little more difficult. But as of right now, this will work for me, and, you know, save me some money. So I'm only going to loosely fit this hose. I just installed the hose here. I'm only going to loosely install this. I'm not going to tighten it down on either end, because I do need to get this power steering pump installed in here, and I got to put it in the bracket. So if I need to move this to get it out of the way to do that, I will. If I tighten it down now, it just might have to be disconnected later. One other thing I've done that I've started to do is lessons learned working on cars since high school is when you get finished with when you take something out, put the bolt back where it's supposed to be. Then you don't have to guess where it's supposed to go, because now you know where it's supposed to go. So anyway, I have all of that will bolt right back in. So I just need to take the hardware out and remember which orientation this thing went, and then bolt it back up. These make your life a lot easier too. Keep your equipment from flying off. Little magnetic trays, they work great. Changed some things, and this is not where it used to be, so I need to make another length of hose here. The next step is going to put a tension up this serpentine belt. As you can see, it's basically the alternator here is what they have an adjustment here on the alternator. There's a slide nut that's right here, and then there's a pivot one a little bit further down. You just tighten or loosen that to, you know, add tension or take away tension. So all I want to do is go in there and, you know, get the ye old handy dandy pry bar, push down on this a little bit, and then tighten up that that set screw, and then do the one on the pivot one as well. There's a nut on the back side of that, so I've been spinning it just for fun, I guess. This is the linkage. It actually needs to be flipped over. So I believe I need to flip this bracket over to get that on the other side. All right, so that's about as far as I want to go. If you'll look, I've got a bunch of basically bare copper here, and some bare copper over there as well. Problem with starting this is I don't want it to start, arcing and sparking here. So I'm gonna go back through and I need to, and there's another bare fire up there. These wires are 31 years old, so I'm gonna go back and splice in some new wire and probably, dress this out a little nicer and move it away from some of these sharp edges. So, I think I'm pretty much done for today. I did want to start it, but I don't think I'm going to get to in this video. That's all I have for today's video. As always, if you enjoyed this, found something useful, give me a like, subscribe to the channel so you can keep getting these videos.